So the Yoga Sutras, they're based on the Samkhya yoga philosophy. One of the things that characterizes Samkhya, the word, it means to enumerate. So it's breaking reality into categories. There's 25 categories, and 24 of the categories are that involve the material world. And then one is the spirit. That's called Purusha, and Prakriti is the nature or matter or material. It's a very interesting study to know these categories. We've studied those sutras pertaining to the sense organs and now the elements. And so there's 10 sense organs in yoga, and then there's 5 elements. So this makes up 15 of the 24 things that are in the categories of reality. And you can see it like a kind of stepping stones, it goes from the gross material to the most subtle and internal and invisible, which is the spirit. These 15 are the most tangible aspects of reality. These are the things that you just immediately engage with the world with, your senses and the elements. And there's always this theme, though, with the senses and with the elements of they getting lost, and you have to recover them. One definition of pratyahara, which is that fifth limb, it usually is translated as a sense withdrawal, right? Withdrawing the senses inward. So going from an externally oriented perception to an internally oriented perception. But another less known definition is to recover the senses, right? So, and in a way, when they're turned outward, in a certain way, we've lost track of them or their better purpose. And so there's a need to like recover your eyes, recover your ears, recover your palate. And this is what practice is there for. It's like to reclaim your senses and start using them for what they were intended to be used for. What's curious is that there's the same theme in the elements. Okay, and this is kind of wild, actually. I love this. In the Indian stories, there's stories about the elements because the elements are deities, they're gods in the kind of Indian and yogic world. They're getting hiding or getting lost or stolen, and so a lot of myths are about reclaiming the elements. There's Vishnu is the preserver god of the universe, and one of his things that he does to help maintain the world order is he incarnates periodically when the universe becomes very imbalanced. And in one of his incarnations, the earth has been stolen by this arch demon named Hiranyakshisipu. He steals the earth and takes her down. He drags her into his cave in the underworld. It's a terrible, terrible world without the earth. And so Vishnu incarnates as Varaha, this gigantic boar, a cosmic pig with huge tusks. And he goes down into the underworld and he fights that demon and he kills it. And then he takes the earth on his tusks and brings her back, restores her to her proper place in the universe. This is a micro version of what happens in practice. Okay, do you understand? See, this is so amazing. It's how ungrounded we can become, how we can lose the earth in a very physical sense, like in the posture, right? And this is why I emphasize the third asana principle so strongly. It's because that's how you reclaim the earth of your pose. there's not enough attention paid to this uh, typically. So it's this huge eye opener to realize that your legs and your arms are your foundation. They connect you with the earth. They support your body masses, and you've got to then go about making your stances like that. This is this whole central process that you're involved in, and it's more foundational than doing a pose. And it's also more valuable. Okay, so if your mind is caught in like grabbing your toe in triangle and being there for 5 breaths, you're going to miss it. Okay, but if your mind is going, how are my feet stamping the earth? Are my legs long and strong? And where are they positioned to support my pelvis, torso, and head? Then this is how you make the earth your friend, your ally, and you embody that element.